Nottingham. See, it's that classic fast-flowing first half of the section, the car park second section. Here's your pole man.
Alex Barros, yep, on the Emerson, 14 degrees of ground temperature, and Brazilian definitely feeling it here. Our winner from the last round in the Netherlands, a great display of riding there, and he's capping it off with pole position here for this event.
There's Valentino Rossi lining up in his garage. Good qualifying from him, lining up on 4th position on the outside of that front row. Of course, finished on the podium a couple of times already this season. Not normally noted for his wet weather prowess, though. So this is the circuit, 30 laps of it, just over 4 kilometres long, 2.5 miles. Your front row, Alex Barros, Kenny Roberts, Gary McCoy and Valentino Rossi on the outside of the front row.
Max Biaggi is heading up row 2 ahead of Carlos Checa, Norfolk Arbe and Alex Crivier, the outgoing world champion.
Tadej Okada, Regis Laconi, Nobuo Aoki and Loris Capirossi, the second Honda Ponce rider down on the 3rd row.
Tetsuya Harada, Sete Gibernau, Jeremy Williams, the second of the Aprilias, and Jurgen van der Gorberg.
And it's Cardoso, John McGuinness riding as a wildcard this weekend. Bringing up the rear, Sebastian Legrel, the Belgian. He starts from the Williams.
Yeah.
Started way down the order, and the British fans will love that one, watching McWilliams come through the order.
And he's got past Roberts as well, so Roberts has slipped back from place, or McWilliams has got past him. There is Gary McCoy, front row starting. So that's 2 guys from the front row, both Gary McCoy and Valentino Rossi have really struggled in this opening lap, but Valentino Rossi is starting to make up some ground now.
Aoki under pressure from Loris Capirossi. It's still Laconi leading as they head down into Melbourne for the very first time. This tight right-hander, the car park section of the circuit they call it. And then you can see the 2 Suzuki bikes of Roberts and Aoki lining up 6th and 7th, but Laconi from Barros. In 3rd position is Gibernau. Then it's
Gibernau having a bit of a moment there. So
bit slippy through there. Jeremy McWilliams right up into 5th position. What a start it's been from the Northern Irish rider on board the Aprilia Triple as they come across the line for the first time. It's Laconi from Barros, Gibernau 3rd, Arbe 4th, but the flyer from the start is Jeremy McWilliams, the Briton in his home Grand Prix. We haven't had a British winner of this 500cc Grand Prix, well, since Barry Sheen we haven't had a British winner. A long, long time indeed.
Yeah, and the Aprilia team were all pretty confident going into this race because it's a track that doesn't favour outright top speed. He suffered at both Italy, Mugello and in Catalonia just for sheer outright top speed. But here, it doesn't matter, he can keep the flow going on. But it wasn't really working in practice. They couldn't get the setup quite right. And that was why he qualified so far down. Both of the Aprilias really struggling in the dry here. But the wet is a different matter. It's all about keeping the speed up, keeping it nice and smooth as you go through the corners, which is what these guys are doing now. Sete Gibernau running a little bit wide there, but pulling Aoki going well wide. These guys still haven't quite worked out their braking market. And as this track starts to dry, it's going to all start changing up.
It really does take some time, isn't it, in these wet races for the riders to get into the groove. Just find out what the conditions are like, and surely as this race goes on, this track does dry quickly. These Northern European tracks are really made for when it rains. They do dry out rather quickly. So there's no rush for anyone at the moment. Here comes Valentino Rossi up on the inside of Loris Capirossi as they go into the S's. And through Rossi goes. He moves up a couple of positions, but it's been a shocking start for him.
Here comes Barros. Does he get up the inside?
I think so.
Oh, it's so slow around there.
Through the Melbourne Loop, Alex Barros, the Brazilian, claims the lead. Could he be on course for a 2nd victory in 2 races? Barros from Laconi now. That Honda Ponce machine.
He obviously feels he can go a little bit faster in these conditions. Sete Gibernau was just starting to close in on them, and Barros feeling pretty confident out there at the moment. You can see that 3rd and 4th place people have closed up just a little bit. Barros eager to stretch his water wings here. It does start pulling away from the cone slightly as we head down into turn 1.
Yeah, into red gate they go. Williams still in 5th spot. Great start from him. Great start from Laconi as well, from 10th on the grid. But he's just losing touch slightly with Alex Barros. They go round. Gibernau takes the inside line and reclaims a position from Nobuo Aoki, but still the Brazilian, Alex Barros, in these treacherous conditions here at Donington Park, leading from Norwich Arbe. In 3rd spot, Kenny Roberts, and he's 3 at the moment, just pulling out a slight gap over Jeremy McWilliams, and then a bigger gap back to Regis Laconi in 5th.
The last time we saw these 2 guys having a fight, Arbe and Barros having a fight at Donington Park was back in 1997, and it ended up with one of them going off onto the grass, and it was the guy who's in 2nd place at the moment. Barros kind of put his bike in the way and punted him off, and Arbe had to do a little bit of dirt track and stayed upright. But yeah, I mean, there was I wouldn't say there was contact, but there was definitely nowhere to go for for the Japanese rider, who has already won a race this year, and he's looking to get another one. Has he got the power to get down the straight as he lines up behind the Brazilian Alex Barros?
So the head down to the S's one more time. We've got a front four, and then gap back to Valentino Rossi in fifth. Gibernau trying to reclaim a couple of positions. Roberts thought about it there, but Arbe closed the door straight away on the American. He's turning out to be a fine race. Normally in wet conditions, it really could get spaced out, but not today at Donington Park. Really all bunched up and tight, chopping and changing positions all the time. Still, two-thirds of the race to go. There's McWilliams. The home crowd will be rooting for him to pull along, try and hit the front in this one. It's a British rider on the podium. I think it'll be for the first time since 1987, and that was in an 80cc race. So you can see when they come across
the magical second. There's my distance personal timing really doesn't work at all. Barros still in second. McWilliams now all over the back of them. You can see there's definitely a lot more movement in these bikes, especially McWilliams going down there. His back end of his bike was really fighting all the way down, and he goes round outside. As I say that, he's obviously fighting for good because he flies through same place 1 lap later. Barros takes second.
So brave from Jeremy McWilliams, the Ulsterman, to go through any part of the circuit. Obviously brave, but to do it at Crater Curves, diving in to the old hairpin. That really is edge of your seat stuff from Jeremy McWilliams. Up into second position now. But Valentino Rossi just ran it a little bit wide there, and I think Aoki's got through on him. And yes, Aoki claims 5th position from the Italian. So the two Suzuki men making good progress. We've got Roberts leading the race. Now Aoki up into 5th position. And a Briton on the move as well. In second spot is Jeremy McWilliams. Great move at the old hairpin as they head down to the S's one more time. Here comes Aoki. Another position is he going to be. So the Suzuki's really showing that they have got to grips with these conditions, haven't they? Gradually in the race, they're really coming into it.
That Suzuki has always been a good bike. You can just ride it smoothly and take nice sweeping lines as Aoki does there. He left himself really open to the attack from the Arbe, but somehow he managed to hold him off on the brakes. They headed down into the Melbourne Loop. Barros now is not done. He's got to watch out for Aoki.
Defensive line, isn't it, from Alex Barros going into Goddard's. Very, very tight in there. Want to leave any doors open for fanciest chances in these conditions against anyone, I think. And Rossi, well, we've never seen him do that well in wet conditions before, Valentino Rossi, but certainly showing his pedigree here today. Just in behind Jeremy McWilliams as well, underpowered. The conditions going to help him. But let's see what happens. Regis Laconi, of course, was leading for the first couple of laps of this race. And starting from 10th on the grid, but he's had a moment at Goddard's as well. It really is
doing enough to catch them, really, but it's nice that he's still not given up.
Into Melbourne they go, and they all really concertina up in there, don't they? And McWilliams still leading, but he's coming under increased pressure now from Rossi and Roberts. Roberts takes a wider line down there. Wanted to cool the tyres probably, just not going down that dry line, trying to just get the wet on the straight bits of the track and taking the dry lines in the corners. Clever riding once more from Kenny Roberts Jr. Across the start-finish line now.
You can see him again there, he's staying a lot longer on the wet part of the track. He's the only one that's thinking about doing that. We haven't seen that. Normally that's what you expect when a dry line starts to appear, trying to keep those tyres as cool for as long as possible. Wet tyres aren't designed to operate at the sort of temperatures they're running at now, and they're really feeling the strain. The carcasses inside are really starting to warm. It's still not warm despite it stopping raining. Here comes Rossi.
Up on the inside of Melbourne Loop, Valentino Rossi's going to go through and he's going to take the lead. And see what he did there, went straight back into the dry line to make sure he got the grip to hold on to that position. Rossi goes through to take the lead.
That could be this.
We're wondering where Roberts was. Just needs to get after Rossi as much as possible. Maybe he thinks that Rossi has the edge. Look how much that Honda pulls away from the Aprilia.
That Aprilia's having serious tyre problems now. He's worried about just holding on to what he's got. He's not going to do it as Roberts throws
what
it up the inside.
disappointment.
No, Williams back. Back up the inside. Great move there. Just shoved it back.
Carrying a little bit more pace, wasn't he, through the corner there, McWilliams?
But it's
let Roberts go through.
Yeah, it's these two fight. Rossi's got a clear track.
It's exactly what Valentino Rossi wants as well. You can see the fans are going to be. If anyone needs to make a move, it's surely got to be from McWilliams down at the old hairpin where he's been very strong throughout the race. I wonder if he makes a move. Is he going to have enough to hold? His first ever Grand Prix victory in the 500cc class. He does. Rossi wins, but Roberts is... What a disappointment for him. He'll be delighted to be on the podium, but he so wanted a victory. Jeremy Burgess celebrates with Mick Doohan, the former especially for the former world champion, of course, but the new protege of Victor and of Jeremy Burgess is Valentino Rossi, and he takes his first ever victory in 500, and look how happy he is with it.
So, final results then, confirmation. Valentino Rossi from Kenny Roberts, Jeremy Williams, Loris Capirossi in 4th, Jürgen van der Gorbeck on the V-Twin Honda in 5th ahead of Arbe, Crevier and Sete Gibernau finally ending up in 8th position after running his highest 3rd early on. Max Biaggi in 9th, Tadeusz Carter in 10th ahead of Checker, who was 2nd in the championship and should just hold on to that register. Kearney, John McGuinness getting points on his wild card. Gary McCoy 17th in the end ahead of Sebastian Legrel, but on the podium Valentino Rossi, his debut win in 500cc.
Jeremy Williams stands at the podium for the 2nd time this season. Kenny Roberts, how important is this for his championship challenge? 2nd place for him, but the race winner today is Valentino Rossi, his first ever 500cc Grand Prix victory. Jerry Burgess goes up there as well. Shake of the hand with Valentino Rossi.
Barry Steen handing out the trophy to Jeremy Burgess.
You can see there, Zach and Jack, Jeremy Williams' 2 kids have joined him up